Hi everybody, welcome back to the Snake Pit. I'm Snake and I'm back with more information for you on heroes as far as they go for war defense. Today we are going to cover some Season 3 heroes. Some of them that I have covered already in individual ones, but I'm going to group them up again. Like I did my last video for the Season 2 heroes, I'm going to make a block up of all the heroes that appeared at least 90 times over the 1 year war study that I did. And that, of course, is version 1. I'm working on version 2 right now. And I tell you what the survivability rate is for each of these heroes in each of the positions. This will help you determine whether it's a good fit for that hero to be put in those spots. And also allows you to identify weaknesses in other teams for misplaced heroes. So let's get into it as quickly as we can, because there's quite a few heroes I'm going to cover today. So Season 3, it came out in late February of 2020, so it's been around for a while. And when Season 3 came out, I find that was a big jump of power creep from the Season 2 heroes, much more so at least than Season 1 to Season 2. We finally saw some new skills and abilities that we hadn't seen before. Some very powerful ones that we're going to see later on. But things like, the boost to max HP, also a reduction to it. These kind of things. And the heroes just were, quite a bit stronger with their stats as well. So the ones that we're going to cover, like I said, at least 90 times they had to show up. That's almost all of them. So even though these Season 3 heroes came out a while back, some of them are still cornerstones in certain war types. So, to me, a lot of these are very good. Some of them, not so much, but we'll get into that. Out of the 5 stars, the only ones that didn't make the cut are Norns, Thor, Baldur, and the Lokis. And I'm talking all the Lokis. Lady Loki, Lord Loki, and oddly enough, Salmon Loki. The 1 4-star actually made it, and that would be Gullinbursty. But I'm going to leave Gullinbursty out of this one, only because I'm going to do a block of 4-star heroes, and he is going to be part of that. So wait for that one. Some of these heroes I've covered already, and I'm going to flash up the stats and maybe just say a quick word for those heroes. Obviously, you can check out those individual videos for those heroes if you want more in-depth analysis on them. But I've included them if they made the cutoff, and I just won't dwell on them. I'll go right past it and just remind you that there's an individual video out for that hero. I want you to also consider there's no costumes involved with these ones. So these stats are without the costume bonus. Of course, the costumes just started rolling out, last week with Skadi got a costume. So these are non-costume ones and without that costume bonus. So with that said, you could squeeze out some higher survival rates out of these heroes with that bonus. And of course, we'll have to wait for version 2 if there's enough usage of these costumed heroes to see how those costumes actually work out. So let's go into this. It's time to get to it. So let's get to it. Okay, first up on the chopping block is Heimdall. And if you recall from Season 2, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to roll with the most used Season 3 heroes back towards the least used with that cutoff of 90 times used. So let's start with Heimdall. He was used over 700 times during the first year of my study. That's the 5th most of all heroes. He was used extensively and not just in one spot. If we look at the usage amount in brackets down at the bottom, you can see 329 times at tank, 172 at flank, and 207 at the wing. He was used all over the place. So on top of buffing attack for all allies. He's got two phenomenal skills where one of them he boosts the health of the max HP, and he can also revive allies. So with his high defense stat and his ability to boost health, that makes him an excellent tank if your alliance is running green. Sadly, this is not commonplace at the level that my alliance operates at, which is in the anywhere between 200 to 400 global rank range. Maybe it's happening at lower levels. I don't know. If it does, I'd love to hear if this is a common thing at lower levels. But anyways, his chance to revive is relatively low, especially if you compare it to Alfrike or to Mother North. But it does still make him an ideal choice for the wing. It's still effective enough to help out the defense team. You can see that the overall numbers support this, right? He's well above the average in the overall at wing and at tank. So he's quite useful in both of those positions. He's still on the upper end of average at flank, but he is a slow hero. He's best used in a rush tournament, rush war, and in any position. If you look at the rush numbers, they're sky high all over. It's just worth noting that he's strong there, but he's also green in each tank position. So highly useful, great tank in any war type, a very strong wing, and in rush, he scores some very, very high numbers. Okay, now for Alfrike, I did a video on the Rush Queen herself. I suggest you watch it for a more detailed analysis. The bottom line, though, she's an absolute beast in Rush, and surprisingly, she's above average or superior at every position in every single war type, except for tank at Undead Horde. And we have 20 occurrences there. Maybe with more, maybe it'll climb, maybe that's where it sits. But even being a very slow hero, she still excels in other war types. So don't forget that. I've covered that extensively in my other video for Alfrike. Check it out if you want more information on that. Okay, now we move to Freya. So Freya has some of the toughest minions in the game, which makes her one of the best farmers for world levels, and she's no slouch either when it comes to war defense. Being from the Vanaheim realm, it makes her an excellent choice at tank because if she dies, the attacking team gets an instant reduction in mana, which can ruin any chance of charged heroes from firing until they connect more tiles. And of course, they're not always readily available. She's a fast hero, so as you can see from the red numbers in Rush, she's not ideal for that war type. However, in the regular mana speed wars, she is average at her worst, but in many cases, she's superior to other heroes. Looking at the overall average numbers at the bottom, keep her towards the center of your formation for the best results with Freya. But she's not a bad choice to have in any place at all. All right, now we move on to Skadi, aka Manhands, aka the undisputed champion of Undead Horde Wars. She is one solid hero in all positions. If we look at that overall average, really high. I did make a video specifically about her, so you can check that out for a more thorough discussion on this hero. Next one that we're moving on to is Frigg. Again, I'm flashing up the numbers. I did make an individual video for Frigg, so you can check that one out. But the bottom line up front, like all other fast heroes, she doesn't perform well in Rush, but she's quite decent in all other war types. What you want to do with Frigg is keep her closer to the wing for the best results. Now we move on to Odin. So Odin hasn't been covered yet in his own video, so I'm going to take a few minutes to talk about a couple of things here. So first off, it's very apparent. I've not seen him at tank at all in the entire year-long war study that I did, and this is due to Alliance's reluctance to use Holy at tank during wars, so I have no data for him there. Second, take a look at his numbers. He is at or above the average number in every single position, in every single war where he's been observed. So taking out tanks, he hasn't been seen, but every war, every position, he is at or above average. What I find fascinating about this is because he's a fast mana hero, and even his rush numbers are in the green. This is a first. He's the first fast hero I've covered that attains this results. Typically, we see red numbers there and then green everywhere. He's averaging green everywhere. So a big reason for this is that he buffs all allies with a plus to mana generation. I can't overstate the importance and the incredible advantage that mana generation can give you and your team. You'll see similar flashes of this kind of excellence in other heroes that do the same, some that I haven't covered yet. And if you want further proof, just check out the video on Elizabeth that I did. And I explain the mana generation ailment that she casts and how destructive that is. Well, Odin just does the opposite to that to your allies, so very effective. Odin is superior overall at flank and wing. I suspect he'd make an excellent tank too if any alliances were to go with Holy at center. So please let me know if you've used them. I'd love to know if he does work out as a good tank. I suspect he does, but I could be wrong. However, with that said, again, flank, wing, in any war type at all, he's an excellent hero. So Bera is another hero that I've dedicated an entire video to. Check it out if you want to see more details on what makes her tick. But overall, she's incredible at every position. In regular mana wars, superior in 11 out of the 12 positions. And to be honest, that one little yellow number that you're seeing at attack boost wing could just as well be superior in the green as well, because she's only 0.1% off to get that color. What makes her a killer hero is that she's fast, and she's a minion summoner, and she's an anti-minion hero at the same time. So when you combine that with being a Vanaheim family member, you've got a great defender that's effective at all positions. But with that said, typical of fast heroes, except for Odin, like we just saw, she's a poor choice for rush wars. Okay, now we're going to talk about Fenrir. Up until this point, it seems like all Season 3 heroes are gods. Well, this is where we start drawing the line as far as defense goes. Fenrir comes up short in quite a few areas, and may as well be Greymane's bigger brother. It's not all doom and gloom though. He has shown some promise at the wing position in regular mana speed wars, where he is superior in some of those spots. Sadly, look in the overall stats where I list how often he was used in each position. Okay, most people tend to use him at flank, almost double as much as at wing. And at wing, that's where the numbers show that he is most effective. So, he's not terrible. He's actually above average on the wing overall. And if you look at the individual war types, he's actually in the green. So I think people are just mostly misusing him. And a big reason why he does better on the wing is because he does double damage to the target if it has less than half HP remaining. So he should not be hitting early in the fight. If he goes off too early, he's only hitting with half his potential. But if he's on the wing, it means he goes off later, and later is when that HP is going to be below 50%. So if you are using Fenrir on the wing is the best spot for him. Tyr is another lackluster Season 3 hero, and there's a reason for this. So first, he's a single target sniper. If you've been paying attention to all my other videos, very few of these types of heroes perform well in more defense at any position. They only affect one hero, and SG has severely, in my mind, neglected them, where they don't hit nearly as hard as they deserve to, and they can very rarely kill a target in one shot. Now, he does have a few other tools other than that relatively weak 285% damage to one enemy, but none of them will turn the tides of the war. So he's got a 60% chance to bypass defensive buffs for one of those abilities. I don't see many counterattack heroes anymore on war defense, right? There used to be some, and I think this was the answer to the Boreals and the Cyprians. If we go way back, and even Sif, who came out in that time period. But this skill, it's not always useful, but I think it's going to gain traction. So for those that parked Tyr and think that he is absolutely useless, especially with this one ability for the bypass, I think a lot of people don't realize that with the new gargoyles, their stone skin, and I think I'm going to do this in a video later on about them. I personally think that their passive ability of stone skin is way overpowered, but there are heroes that can bypass it. Tyr is one of them. So, at least on offense, he might be useful there. On defense, I don't know, but it is a possibility he could get better or more useful. The other thing that he does, his resurrection with heal and his regeneration effects do buy him time. And I think this is why he does better at tank and flank compared to the wing. And this supports the abnormally good numbers that he puts up in Arrow Barrage, where you want that fight to go long, right? You want the arrows to wear down on the other team. Tyr is the kind of hero that can do that, especially with that revive, and he heals himself. That buys time for those arrows to do the work, and then on those wings, you get those multi-target hitters that can wipe out the rest of the team. All right, Sif now. So Sif is a strange case. Counterattack heroes were popular back in the days, right? Again, with Boral and Cyprian causing trouble before there was a lot of dispellers. There's a lot now. So Sif, I think, was intended to be a grown-up version of them, but the meta wasn't right for holy tanks, so she never quite took off, right? Ever since the old Guinevere days, and those are long gone, we haven't seen holy at the centerpiece of a defense team. So she's only been used 6 times here, and that goes to show that holy isn't used much. Even though Sif, I think, was designed to be that in that role. So it's understandable, and only 3 times at wing, and that again is understandable because she affects nearby enemies. Why would you want to waste it on a blank space next to the wing? So not used very often there. When SG introduced the new raid formations, if you remember, she became pretty popular in that W formation because when they first released those W formations, all allies became nearby allies. It was a dumb idea in my mind. SG eventually sorted that out, and then she kind of fizzled away again in raids, and of course, in wars too, because people probably started stripping off emblems at that time. Needless to say, and with all that said, the only reliable numbers I really have on Sif are at flank, where she was used quite a few times, and she's slightly above average, so she's actually a good hero. But due to the nature of her, a defensive hero that is holy, there's only one spot where she can be used, and that's at flank. But she's a decent choice. Her best use is in Rush Wars at flank. She put up an impressive 38%. survivability rate, and that was being used 43 times. We're not talking about one or two flukes. She's well above the average and used many, many times. So, hey, I suppose not a bad spot for Sif. Okay, now we move on to Gefjon. So Gefjon was a cool hero when she came out. You know, is a hero that steals minions and hits hard. So what could go wrong? Well, first off, she's a single target sniper. That's what. I've already explained that these types of heroes don't typically do well, and she's no exception. Even by stealing minions, that single hit won't wear down an entire team, even though it hits pretty hard at 500% damage. I mean, even if she could, and she doesn't, kill an enemy outright, but even if she could, she'd still have to go off 5 times to really, do an impact on your team. That's what the problem with these snipers. Gefjon's results are typical for a sniper, right? I outline those in my attack boost video. If you haven't seen it, go towards the end and I show you the difference between the sniper, the hit 3 and hit all type heroes. Typically they're terrible at tank. Gefjon's no exception. Even though she's only used 4 times, I don't suspect that's going to climb up into the yellow or the green. If she's your only option for red, stick her on the wing or perhaps at flank. That would be the best spot for Gefjon. All right, so last but not least, we're going to go with Ratatoskr. So Ratatoskr, the messenger, is that squirrel that just can't get a nut. Listen, Ratatoskr is not a terrible hero to have. The rat is great against titans. That tile modifier is really helpful for those cases. But on defense, that skill is not useful, and it can be sidestepped by not stacking green. Right? A savvy attacker is going to know not to stack green, because if rat goes off, then those tiles become extremely weak. And even though they become weak, it's still not the end of the day. They're still going to charge up their heroes. So it's not a showstopper by any stretch. So maybe if the meta changes and blue tanks reemerge, then Ratatoskr might be more effective, because people will often stack green, and there is that little bit of pain with those tiles becoming weakened for the attacking team. But as it is currently, it has been for the last year and a half, blue's not showing up at tank. And when, without the usefulness of the tile modifier, Ratatoskr is basically just rocking a 44% health recovery at average speed. This is not bad healing for an average speed hero, right? But a hero needs to have a few more tricks than that to counter the complex heroes that you face in these wars. All numbers are pretty lackluster for Ratatoskr. And in the positions where the survival rate was high, there's a very low usage. So pretty unreliable numbers. Honestly, I recommend leaving this rodent on the bench during the wars and just using Ratatoskr in the proper situations, like against titans and in some cases on offense. All right, folks. So that's it for the season 3 block. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that those the people that can really appreciate stats and data and all these things are digging these videos that I'm putting out, and the fact that I'm trying to pump out as much as I can by combining certain types of heroes together. So the next ones I'm going to put out, I'm looking at S1, maybe certain years of HOTMs. We'll see where it goes, but I want to keep getting these out to you because I have other projects in mind, things that I think are just as, if not more useful for you, for your knowledge on how to break down that code of how to win wars with your defense. Anyways, if you did like it, please subscribe, like it, send me a comment about anything, whether you liked it, didn't like it. If you have a question for me, by all means, send them my way and I'll be happy to respond. So until next time, I'm Ssnake and I'm here to help you defend yourself.